Good evening, everybody. How are you doing? It's Thursday evening, it's 7 o'clock, and it's time for Content and Cocktails. Back again for another week of a deep dive into video content marketing. I am really glad to be here this week. I had to miss last week because I was kind of in the middle of dealing with kind of not feeling particularly good, not feeling very well. But this week we're back, and for those of you who are watching on my personal page or my business page or elsewhere, this is Content and Cocktails. My name's Tom Stanley, but I love helping camera-shy entrepreneurs go from novice video makers to confident creators. That's my thing. That's my passion. That's what I love doing. Hello, Mike. Long-time viewer, Mike Boss, back again for more. So this evening, I've been chewing over a whole bunch of things to sort of to potentially kind of talk about, but actually I've ended up deciding that I'm going to talk about audience tonight, because it's the one thing that it very often gets forgotten about when people are making video content. So we're going to take a bit of a deep dive into how to think about your audience, how to consider their needs when you are looking to create video content, be that live or pre-recorded, and really kind of work out how best to use the sort of the thinking process around audience to make sure you're creating the right content for those people. Hello, Pixie. Good evening to you. This is obviously Content and Cocktails, and tonight I'm going to go for a classic Martinez cocktail, which is gin, sweet vermouth, maraschino liqueur, and a bit of Angostura bitters. And this week I've made my own sweet vermouth. I had one attempt at it, and it tasted absolutely horrible. So I ordered a few more herbs and spices online, and it's actually really good. It's turned out it's turned out well. So this is my own sweet vermouth. So I will be using this in the Martinez. So yeah, that's what this evening we're going to take a long look at audience this evening and see how that goes. Well, I do like to do my best. So first of all, oh good, I have got my measure shaker. So we will put a measure of gin first of all. So a measure of gin. I've got Gordon's tonight. Sorry, it's just keeping it old school. I haven't gone with a Plymouth gin, as I really should, being based in Plymouth, and I do like a Plymouth gin. It's a very good gin. Same amount of sweet vermouth, Stanhope's Old Peculiar or something. I don't know what we call it. It's got a ever so slightly got a sort of a slight hint of Christmas about it. Half measure of maraschino. I don't think having too many of these would be a good idea. And then a couple of dashes of Angostura bitters. There we go. Bit of ice and a bit of a shake. I think I knocked a button there. I disappeared for a minute. I'm back, don't worry. Here we go. We're going to measure that out. Then I'm going to take a strip of orange, squeeze it on top. Cheers. It's lovely to be back. Ooh, I like that. You won't be surprised that I like it, Mike, because, you know, I very, very rarely have met a cocktail that I didn't like. So, you know, there we go. So before I get into it, I want to just let everybody know that we have finally got round to launching the £1 trial for our membership, Video Skills Made Easy. So if you are interested in jumping into video content creation for your business and want a bit more sort of regular assistance, then you can come and try out the group for £1 for a month. After that, it's £35 a month, £34 a month. But it's really people are finding, you know, so it's a group that is focused on getting stuff done. It's a group that is focused on actually taking action with your video content creation, doing rather than just simply learning, because ultimately you can learn and learn and learn and learn, but actually the implementation, that's the place where the magic happens. I did a little live a few weeks ago, last week, actually not a few weeks ago, last week, about how done is better than perfect. And it's entirely true. If you just keep chasing perfection, you won't ever get there. You'll always end up being disappointed with what you're producing, but done is better than perfect. So if you're interested in done, then come on over, give it a try, and if you like it, stick around. Yeah, I don't think more than one of those would be a good idea, because that is a potent potable. Okay, so audience. As always, if you've got any questions as we go along, just please do ask them, and I'll do my best to answer. I wonder if we're going to get any of our Twitch streamers, Twitch viewers coming on this evening. I don't quite know why I keep going live to Twitch at the same time. I think I do it more out of a sense of amusement than anything else. If anybody fancies going over onto Twitch and viewing from there, it would be great, because it would completely flummox the algorithm over there. You know, maybe spawn a whole new subgenre of Twitch videos. Middle-aged man drinks cocktail. So yeah, audience. Why is audience important? I mean, I get asked that occasionally. You know, when people first get into content creating, and I say, look, who are you aiming this at? And some people will say everybody. And my reaction is no. You don't sell to everybody. And they go, yes, we do. Yeah, we sell to everybody. Anybody who wants to buy our stuff. But then you go, does everybody buy your stuff? And you ask questions and you push a little bit, and people say, well, I tend to work with kind of so-and-so type of person. Most of our customers come from so-and-so area. Or whenever I push, I generally find with other small business owners, medium business owners, and indeed, actually, some of the large businesses I work with have got very, very specific customer bases. Not that should be a surprise at all, but if anybody ever says I sell to everybody, that's probably just not true. They will have groups or types of people that they sell to. And the same is true of your audience when you're creating video content. The reality is that you are going to have an ideal audience, whether you like it or not. And taking some time to identify that audience, taking some time to understand what they want, what they need, what they'd like to hear from you, is a wonderful foundation to build off. So I'm going to sort of walk through some of the things that I I like to do and like to think about. But as always, if you've got any questions or just general heckles, ask them. This is what this is about. This is for you. This is yours. This is, I'm here to have a drink and chat video. Pick my brain. I think this is something that gets forgotten, is that, I've got 20 years of video marketing know-how in my head. If you've got questions, ask them. This is it's a consultancy opportunity. Get some information out of me. But yeah, okay. So where do I start with audience? Ideal customer avatars are one of those things that get sort of bandied around an awful lot, and to a certain extent they're useful, I think, as an exercise. But I find it really useful to think of an ideal audience member, and very often I'll use my kind of maybe one of the people I enjoy working with the most as a kind of an exemplar, and then kind of work that person up to be a bit more universal to my audience. So think about the person that you absolutely love working with or working for or selling to. Think about that person and spend some time mapping out what makes them great for you. A really nice exercise for this, and this is a really difficult one actually. Take a book, sort of a notebook or some papers, and come up with 100 statements about your ideal audience member. Now, that sounds like a lot, and it is. And you will find the following things happen. The first 20 are easy because those are very broad. Those are descriptions like, they have a body, they are a human, they are male, they are female, they are so and so age, they are, they're very broad descriptions of a person. And the first 20 will be easy. You'll find those first 20 just flow, no problem at all. The subsequent 20, so 21 to 40, becomes a lot hard. We're starting to get into a little bit more depth of information, a bit more kind of the nitty gritty, and you'll get deeper and deeper and deeper as you work through this list of creating these 100 statements about your audience, about your ideal audience member. You'll get more and more detailed and more specific. Now, the next 40 are hard, and the final 20 are really difficult because you're getting into very detailed kind of things about this person, because you've got to think of your audience as a single person, because at the end of the day you are always talking to a human. That's something that gets forgotten on social media a lot. At the end of every conversation, at the end of every piece of marketing, there is a person, a real life person sitting there, or reading or watching or listening to your content. And if you can create with that person in mind, you will be more likely to connect with integrity, with passion, with a real sense of purpose backing you up, than if you are just generally speaking to a kind of a sort of vaguely defined morass of potential customers. So stopping thinking of people as potential customers and starting thinking of them as humans who are there to be helped by what you've got is a really good place to start, because I think it's so easy to kind of think of, it's why I hate the word prospects actually, because it sort of, it boils and reduces somebody down to just an opportunity to sell. And whilst, yes, we are business owners, we are looking to sell, when we stop thinking of the people on the end of the process as humans and start thinking of them as prospects, I believe that's where a lot of the the problems with selling start. A lot of us have a real problem with selling, and I think part of that stems from this idea that we are thinking of people as units of kind of economic value, as opposed to people we really want to work with, we're passionate about working with. And you sort of, when you get into that situation where you forget the passion and only see the potential for gain, then I think that's where there's difficulty. So clearly defining your audience goes a long way towards helping you move from thinking about people on the other end as prospects and start to think of them as people, as humans, people you want to spend time with. I have a business on Facebook, and even I hate it when people isn't it just then the reality is you only really want to work with people that you want to work with. And I know that sounds daft, doesn't it? I have worked with plenty of people over the years, and I think, before I did all this, our business looked very different, and we would take jobs on because we had to, because actually the business kind of was not developed enough where I could actually turn around and say, you know what, I don't think we're going to be a good fit. And I take sort of jobs on, I think this person is not going to light my fire. This person is not going to get my full enthusiasm. They'll get a good video, but for me, the working life, my sort of working experience, the experience of delivering what I do has to be as fulfilling and as important as the check at the end, because earning money is great, but earning money in a way that you enjoy and love and feel that you can be passionate about and have integrity with is important. It's why I really enjoy. So you may or may not know that I'm working quite closely. So I'm a member of Lisa Johnson's mastermind. Now, many of you will know her. Some of you who haven't met her or haven't come across her should go and check her out, I believe, because I can honestly say that one of the big reasons why I sort of have stuck around in her world and have kind of decided to sort of go all in terms of learning from her is because of her integrity and her kind of the way she does business. And for me, that's a really big part of it. And God, don't I know, we all bloody make mistakes at times, but I think times, and I look back on my sort of past in business and think, oh, there are times when I could have handled things better. I could have been a better person. But if you are always looking to improve and be better and have integrity in what you do, then I think then that'll all be for the good. And I think that ties up with audience, because if you are looking to treat your audience with respect and integrity and understand what they want and take the time to dig deep into what they want, then I think you're far more likely to connect with people who will not only buy from you with a spring in their step, but will love it, will love the experience of working with you, and treat the working relationship with the respect and the kind of the value that it deserves, which is you always want the people you're working with to be getting value from what you're doing, and taking time to understand your audience delivers up all sorts of related benefits that are not just around knowing what they want to consume in terms of content, but actually once you understand your audience, you'll actually have a very clear picture of who your sort of perfect customer is. Maybe that's the better way to do it. So we talk about ideal customer avatars, but actually perfect customer might be a nicer way to think of it, because actually we all want a perfect customer, don't we? Somebody that we love to work with, somebody that is is you love to get out of, you love to sort of deliver stuff to. I was going to say get out of bed in the morning for, but get on Zoom for, maybe. Because a lot of work we can do lying in bed at the moment, and no one needs know. So yes, spend time understanding your audience, define what they need, what they want from you, and then turn that need into content themes. And I say content themes because having a list of the preoccupations, the frequently asked questions, the problems that your ideal customer often faces is really useful, because when you particularly with something like a live, if you have a list that's pre-identified of the things that maybe sort of 10 or 20 things that you keep coming back to with this kind of notional ideal audience, this perfect customer. If you've got that list, you could go live any given day of the week and talk on a variation of any of those points. And you can just cycle around. The reality is, if you look back across my lives, you will see that they are broadly across 4 themes. And they are variations on those 4 themes. Because I know these 4 themes are the things that are really serious considerations for the people I love speaking to. And they are the mindset of video. And that's a broad topic. I've talked about that before. They are the technology of video, so kit, etc., how to use it, all that kind of stuff. It's the story. Whilst that isn't a frequently asked question, very often the questions that are asked all lead back to story. So if you talk about story, that's important. And then strategy is the 4th one. So strategy, story, technology, mindset. For me, those are my 4 key points. Those are the things I know, the very, very broad themes that I know kind of the people, my sort of ideal audience is interested in. Joseph, I've only just come on, but seeing your comment reflavored with vodka pixie reminded me of my student days where we squashed Mars. Oh, God. Jeez. Squash a Mars bar into the vodka bottle. The hardest part was leaving it long enough to dissolve into the vodka before guzzling it. Is that what Tom was doing this evening? Joe, I'm sadly going to have to disappoint you. I've not squashed a Mars bar into a bottle. I've made my own vermouth. So I took 2 bottles of a neutral white wine, in this case a Pinot Grigio. So 2 bottles of Pinot Grigio with a variety, I think got about sort of 15 or no, probably 12 different herbs. We've got wormwood, gentian root, juniper, sage, cinnamon. There's more than that. But there was no Mars bar. I didn't smush a Mars bar into it. And then you whatever all the herbs are, you leave them to you bring it to the boil, and then you leave it to steep overnight. And then the following morning you strain it out, and then you add in 2 cups of 2 cups for a sweet vermouth. You add in 2 cups of a dark sweet sherry. So I used just a cream sherry, and then you can add in a little bit of additional sugar if you want, which I did because I'd slightly overcooked the amount of wormwood I put in, which made it really bitter. I'm not a huge fan of super bitters. I've got a bottle of Fernet Branca in my cabinet, which I suspect will stay part of the furniture for a very, very long time. Hello, Karen. It's Karen Dog. Karen so Karen and I and a few others, we did a live walkthrough on Wednesday. Walkthrough Wednesday is a new part of Video Skills Made Easy, the membership for you if you want to grow your business with video. That's a paid membership, and we did a walkthrough of setting up the YouTube channel for those members who do not have one on the go. And Karen was there. So Karen, we've taken Karen to the first stage of her YouTube journey, and next week we'll be doing part 2. It was very exciting. It was a successful first one. We're going to be doing it on Zoom next week, I think, because it will be very handy to be able to speak to people in real time. We tried doing it here on StreamYard, but there wasn't quite enough interactivity. Yeah, it's really nice. It is nice. Orange peel. That's orange peel, lime peel. Can't remember what else was on there. Yeah, so all sorts of stuff in there. But it's very nice. It's worked out very well. I will be making my own vermouth from now on. Yeah, I mean the truth is probably shoving a Mars bar into a vodka bottle is both easier and probably very nice. I can imagine, actually. I've yeah, God, university drinks really student days of drinking really nasty cocktails, or the cheapest booze you could find. Yeah, so the whole audience thing is really a big part of the process of creating content that is right for people. So if you understand your audience, you can then direct your attention in the right way. So, for example, when you are setting up your YouTube channel, if you are very clear from the get-go, you can get really clear with who you're aimed at, and so as a result, those people will be more likely to find you. So yeah, so take some time. I would say take some time to do some deep thinking about your audience, work out what they want, and actually, there's a couple of ways you can do this. We go into this in great depth. There's a whole module about this in the membership. But if I was to give you one quick tip, it would be to do that list of 100 statements about your ideal audience member, and use that as the sort of I guess the heart. Once you've got that list, once you've got that level of understanding, you have got an incredibly strong foundation on which to build the strategy and the story. And once you've got the strategy and the story pinned down, then really everything else, it becomes just so much easier to create content for people when you know who you're talking to and when you know what you're talking about. So I'm just seeing we've got 6 viewers. So we've got 2 people watching on my profile, 3 people in here. We've not got vast quantities of people. We never really do, but that's the way of live video. We get more people. But give me a shout out if you're here, and also if you've got any questions, hit me up with a question. You can ask me anything really. It doesn't have to be about video. I'm kind of up for just chatting again. So interesting. So here's some interesting stuff. We are about to start the process of going in for my first challenge week. So I have been cooking up for the last year something called Video Academy. It has been almost live a couple of times, but I haven't quite felt right about putting it out there. I hadn't felt ready. Video Academy is a 12-week program that will take you from never having done video before all the way through to being somebody who's putting out regular content weekly, monthly, or in some cases daily. It's a system that I've used with clients for the best part of 10 years now, actually. And I've sort of turned it into a course that's going to be delivered in a sort of a group coaching way. So the launch is going to be in May. So we will be putting that out to May, but this is going to be a beta. So this is going to be a beta run of this. So it will be, I don't know whether we're capping at 10 or 20 people, just simply because I don't quite know how we're going to run it. But I don't want for the first course to have, as much as I'd love to have hundreds of thousands of people joining the course and kind of enabling me to sort of go and indulge in all of my content, all of my cocktail fantasies. I want to make sure that we've got a nice small beta group. So you will start to hear me talk about that a lot more in the coming weeks, which I'm quite excited about. And for me, that is going to be ideal for those of you who want a much more accountable process. So very often the process of getting into video is one that sometimes kind of requires a level of accountability that is kind of quite high. So very often the mindset aspects of video, of using video as a medium to grow your business. A lot of people think the technology is the big bar, but actually the mindset is a much more important one, and accountability is one of those ways that we can overcome the mindset hurdles. So that's something that's sort of coming down the pipeline. So there will be a sort of full-on challenge week, although I don't know what to call it. Everyone says challenge. I feel like challenge is kind of feels a bit too confrontational, but I don't know whether that's just me being a wet liberal lefty. So yeah, if I can think of a different a different word to challenge, I'll use it. But really, that's what it is. It's going to be a week of fun tasks to get you thinking about video and to really hopefully shift your mindset around content creation. But Video Academy is going to be the sort of the signature course. It's because it's sort of been in a quiet sort of undersold way. It's been really my signature course product for ages in one way or another. So it felt natural and normal to turn it into a kind of a one-to-many coaching and sort of packaged training course. So that's coming down the line. It's going to be exciting. So we're probably going to have either 10 or 15 people on that first beta, and it won't be a huge cohort, just because I want to make sure I'm sort of breaking it in right, which is exciting. So yeah, that's on the horizon. So if anybody fancies that, just give me a shout and I can put you on the list. I'm debating whether I go for a second one of these. They are very nice. Or do I go for something else? I could, there's no reason why I couldn't go for another cocktail. I've got this little book here. So those of you who are regular attendees for Content and Cocktails will know that 100 Cocktails by Bernard is is where I draw a lot of my inspiration. This was given to me by my grandfather, and it says Neil Coxon, Madras, 1945, and it is in fact a war standard issue cocktail book, which makes me laugh every time I read it. You know, it's one of those things that I think, you know, you sort of, I can't imagine the conversation that went on. I can't imagine the conversation that went on when a book like this gets produced, because this was, you know, clearly instrumental in defeating fascism. So maybe I'll dive in. What have we got? It's the comments as well. There's all sorts of comments in this book that are really and a lot of them are just kind of quite unpleasant. There's one called the 0 Hour in the back. And I've read it. I've probably read it before, and I'll say it again. But it's absinthe, creme de menthe, brandy, apricot brandy, and an olive. It is absolutely revolting. It is possibly one of the most unpleasant drinks I've ever had. It's pretty bad before the olive, but if you know, adding an olive into apricot brandy, creme de menthe, brandy and absinthe, no. Just a straight up no. Yeah, so I might there's one cocktail here which involves orange squash, which always kind of makes me curious. But anyway, I digress. I will probably not. No, I probably won't have another cocktail because there's quite a bit to go on this one. But yeah, any questions? Do you have any questions to ask me? Anything at all? It could be about cocktails. It could be about my yeah. Joe brings great wisdom. The 0 Hour. Yep. It's not a great taste. It's not going to catch on. I tell you what, one of the cocktails I did very early on in this sounded on paper revolting, but was in fact delicious. It was a Marmite and Guinness cocktail. So what you did, do I have any? Now I did, Karen, I did a cocktail. Danny came on the show, gosh, about 6 months ago. And I did a Queen Bee cocktail, which did involve honey. It was very nice. Yeah, so the it was a sort of a black velvet variant. You took a bottle of Guinness, a couple of big spoonfuls of Marmite, and a whole bunch of sugar, and you mixed it all up, and then you reduced that and turned it into a syrup, and then you so that it was kind of a very sweet, very savoury syrup. You poured it in, put it in the bottom of a champagne flute, and then topped up the flute with champagne. Absolutely delicious. It was really nice. Really good. I think, you know what? I think I'm going to do it. But maybe that should be the cocktail for the challenge week, because it involves a little bit more. Maybe that's part of the challenge. Go away and make yourself a. I can't remember what it was called. It was delicious. It was astonishingly tasty for something that involved a yeast extract and champagne. It was far nicer than you really think it was going to be. And I'm not a huge Marmite fan. Are there any sugar-free cocktails? A virgin gin and tonic with just a slimline tonic. I guess that would be sugar-free. Although gin doesn't have much sugar in it, does it? You know, these are kind of a G&T is pretty sugar-free. Looking at that, probably a classic martini. Classic martini. That's sugar-free, I think. If you use the right vermouth, I don't really know. I'm doing my thing where I make statements and I sound like I know what I'm talking about, but actually, a lot of the time I don't. Shh. Will I go for another one? I think I will. I'm gonna dive into the cabinet and see what we've got. So, no, the brandy's in the kitchen. This is difficult, isn't it? This is, actually, you know what? I fancy just a straight up martini. Yeah, classic. You could make it a dirty martini. Bit of olive brine in there, which I do love an olive. I do love a dirty martini. Although I tell you what, I made myself a filthy martini the other day, which was excellent, which involves a caper juice. So you take you mix a martini up, and then you take a spoonful of the brine from a bottle of capers. That was good. What are we going to go for? We're going to go for a you see, this is what I mean. Bottle of Fernet Branca, unused, pretty much. I'm not a big Fernet. It's nice in certain cocktails, but bear with me a minute. There we are. Excellent. We're massively leaning into the cocktail side of Contented Cocktails this evening, which I think is fine. I'm quite okay with that. I notice, actually, looking back, some of the episodes tend to be far more contenty and others tend to be far more cocktaily. Is Mike still here? Is Mike Boss still in the room? I'm calling Mike Boss. Speak to us, Mike. Are you in the room? Communicating with Mike. I'm sort of knock twice if you're here. I think Mike. The reason why I want Mike is because Mike has been here for, I would say, probably a good 80% of all these blessed events. Yeah. Well, that's it. What else is either some are cocktaily, some are contenty. Sometimes the two sort of coincide, and that's a good thing, I guess. But which ones are more fun? Ask yourself that. Do you have more fun with the ones where I knock the top off a bottle of champagne with a sword, or do you have more fun when I come and talk about, I don't know, video or something? Don't answer that. Clearly, you've got to say it's all about video. Anybody who tells you that shaking a martini bruises the gin or the vermouth is a liar, by the way. Just to be clear, that is not a thing, and it is not true. Cheers. It's still my favourite. It is still my favourite. You can get as fancy pants as you like, but actually a martini is where it's at. I knew you'd say that, Karen. I knew you'd say that. So cheers. Clearly Mike's not here, or else he'll be heckling me. So I guess sort of tidying this up then, the audience identification process is one of these pieces of the puzzle which gets forgotten but shouldn't be. It gets forgotten because people get bored. People like to dive into they like to buy the kit. They like to be doing the kind of the things that feel like the things that, dare I say it, sometimes feel like busy work, but actually taking time to be thoughtful and consider your audience in a deep and meaningful way will get you more quickly to your goals, but also get you more quickly to your goals in a way that is enjoyable. Means you don't have to sort of be all spammy and salesy. Will make your life happier and better, dare I say it. But it's difficult. It's a difficult part of the process, and I won't lie to you about that, because it is not one of those, it's not an easy win. It took me almost the best part of a month to get to 100 people, to 100 statements on that list. So when I was doing my 100 statements about my ideal audience member, it took me a month. And it was hard work. It took long conversations about what we liked about the people that we work with. It was a properly deep dive into that kind of the psychology of the people who buy from us, who they are, what they love, what their preoccupations are, and everything about that. Down details about the people, about their kind of their motivations, their family life, their kind of thinking about people that we want to work with in a very precise way has made the act of being here far easier. And whilst yes, I'm going live on my profile, ideally I'm going, my key audience is everyone in either Video Skills Made Easy or my membership. Yeah, I mean, this is it, Karen, and I know you know this inside out. This ideal client and ideal audience are right next door to each other. They are in many ways the same person, but there are subtle differences because but because they're so similar, the thinking work you do around that kind of that notion, there's kind of bleed both ways. It's I know you're a strategy fiend like me. God, I was getting a bit Boris there. A strategy fiend, yes. Well, you can appreciate the value of that thinking time, and if you take that time to think about your audience, you will see better results. But I say it to everybody, and certainly on the one-to-one work, and indeed the proposed Video Academy sort of group coaching program, we will work through that together. That is something that I will drag people through, kicking and screaming, because some people hate it. It's weird. Some people absolutely loathe this step, and don't see the value of it up until the point that they really do see the value of it. Before I came on here, actually, I was having a conversation with. So I'm doing some I've been doing some consultancy work for a really wonderful company over in a sort of global company, but I was dealing with their stateside operation, and we spent some time talking about ideal customer, and it's because as an organization I've really got under the skin of who they're talking to. We were able to sort of take that ideal customer and then sort of move it on a few more. So we're looking now at architects. We're sort of trying to scope out what our ideal architect customer would look like for a very specific part of that business. Karen says, made a massive difference to our motor trade business, 90% less stress. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Once you get clear about who you want to be talking to, who you want to be selling to, who you want to buy your stuff, yeah, it's night and day. Couldn't be more different. And you know what? I think back to how my business was 2 years ago to how it is now, and it is profoundly different, to the point where actually just thinking about how it was makes me feel quite emotional and sad, because I was desperately unhappy with where my business was, and I liked probably a handful of the people I was working with, and funnily enough, actually, it was what kicked me off onto another journey was I was in a membership, getting on for over 2 years ago now, where I got to know Danny Wallace, and that was the point at which we sort of, we were kind of a very, this was before Danny kind of really massively took off, but we were dealing with all sorts of other stuff, and Danny was dealing with her stuff, and it's kind of those kind of moments where big decisions are made, and really I now look at my business now, and being very clear about my ideal audience was a foundation stone of that change. Not a word of a lie. I mean, it is, as Karen says, it's night and day. Once you get clear about who you want to sell to, who you want to be working with, everything else kind of slots into place. We basically stopped doing all the shit we didn't want to do. We stopped dealing with all the idiots who were just wasting our time and stressing us out. We're finally doing what we always wanted to do, and I'm able to start my own business venture. Yeah, isn't it funny? So I'm right in thinking you are based, because Karen and I had a good chat this week, because as part of the membership process of Video Skills Made Easy, £1 trial available now. When you're a full member, you get we get to have a bit of a one-on-one consult, and I get to sort of spend some time chatting and learning all about your business. And Karen's business sounds amazing, So you've got a motorsports and an X5. Are you selling general parts, or are you selling motorsports specific kind of equipment on that side of your business? Now, on the other side, Karen is kind of a business strategy expert. So I know that you're sort of this kind of conversation, this talk about audience, is absolute bread and butter to you. Oh, Joe, I'd missed a comment for you. My partner makes me a Tom. Oh, very nice. A Tom Collins is a good drink. That is a good drink. Classy. Stay classy. Had a lovely chat with Joe as well. But yeah, God, I mean, the difference that so if I would make anyone's any sort of, if you take nothing other than go and get clear about your audience, if you only take that away from this evening, then, you know, I would consider that to be a good evening's work from my perspective. We've niched down into engine work, motorsport, build race. Yeah. I've always quite fancied an MX-5. But having kids, it's kind of a difficult sell, to be honest. So if I could borrow one to drive across Europe to Croatia later this year and do some blogging across, then that would be cool. I'd be up for that. I can see that. I imagine that if you're dealing with generic kind of everybody in that sort of area, you would get an unholy amount of Egypts knocking on your door. But if you're in the sort of motorsports space, then it's a slightly different kettle of fish, isn't it? I kind of yeah. My car's making funny noises. Yes. Well, yeah. But that, so I guess that's about value, isn't it? That's the bread and butter for some people. For some people, that's all they want to do. But you're not that versus that. That's a real audience or ideal customer kind of decision. And being an expert in this field is far easier than being an expert in this field, I imagine. So, Karen, I have to ask you, is there a particular vintage of MX-5s that you like? Are you sort of a 90s MX-5 kind of sort of fan? What's your preferred vintage? Because when was the first one made? God, I don't know. I'm trying to think when the first MX-5 was in production. Was it the 80s? I don't know. I mean, it's something that you know. So yeah. God, we're almost on the hour, and I'm still kind of enjoying this. The MK 3.75. Ooh, K-Reg MK1. Yeah. Mark 3. Yeah. Remind myself what that looks like. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah. It's that absolutely kind of classic. They're such a funny, you know, for me, they fall into that space of being they occupy the same space as my mind as an MGB, something like that, which is kind of that sort of really lovely, accessible car that just looks great. And yeah, it has a certain timeless quality to it. So yeah, maybe that's what I'll go for, because I've been eyeing up some something a little bit sportier, but not necessarily. I have been unable to drive mine for 3 years. Yeah, isn't it funny? Yes. Well, this it's like my YouTube channel. So I had completely neglected my YouTube channel up until about a month ago, and I've started to really kind of get my head around it. And actually, I'm growing at about, you know, in terms of subscriber rate, I've got to start putting some much more precise content up on there for my ideal audience. But when I do, I know that the groundwork is there. But yeah, it's very easy to be the cobbler in this situation, isn't it? Look, I'm gonna wind this evening up now, because I'm aware that I could just keep on sitting here and wittering on endlessly, because it's so nice. It's so nice to be back and kind of enjoying this evening. I've had a Martinez and a martini, and really, it's been great to chat. We've talked all sorts of things, and indeed, look at this. I'm excited to get started with the YouTube. I think it's going to be epic. It is, Karen. It is going to be epic. So, if you are on the fence about joining our membership, there is a £1 for a week offer. Try it out. Give it a go. If you are thinking, what on earth is this all about? What Video Skills Made Easy is? It is all about implementation. It is all about getting stuck in. It is all about using video as a tool for business growth. So come in, give it a try. If it's not for you, fine. No hard feelings. I would much rather people come in, take a look. If they like it, stick around. If it's not for you, that's fine. But that's why I wanted to give the trial out there. I vowed not to do the open and close model with this membership, because I always want this to be available as a thing for people who are in videos, in Grow Your Business with Video. I don't want to do it on that sort of open and shut, because if you need to use video, if you need to get your head around it, I want this to be a resource. So come over, give it a try. If it is to your liking, that'd be brilliant. But if it's not, I won't take it personally. So that's it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in and putting up with my my rambling. But if there's one thing I want you to take away from tonight, get a really clear understanding of who you are talking to, because in that clarity is magic, real magic, kind of business and life transforming magic. So that's it. That's my parting message to you. Get into your audience, love them, understand them, and I love you. Thank you for being here. It's awesome. I will see you next week. Take care, guys.